Welcome to Chef Richard Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Have you ever been looking for a side dish and just kind of got tired of the same common rice or mashed potatoes or whatever type of starch you wanted something just a little bit different? Well, yeah, I have too. And today we're going to do one. It's a rice dish. We're going to do saffron rice. And saffron is one of the ingredients that a lot of professional chefs use. It's generally expensive by the container. And I've got a little container here. I got this on Amazon. It wasn't too bad. And they have different grades of it. What these are, and I'll show them on this camera, on the detail camera. What these are, these little strands, is they're the stamen out of the crocus flower. And each one of these has to be hand-picked from the flowers. And that's why they're expensive. But while it's expensive to buy, it's not expensive to use, because a little of this goes a long, long way. It has a very intense flavor. It gives it a very intense gold color. And it's very, very pleasing. So here's a good chance to make an interesting side dish. Let's get started. All right, the first thing we have to do is we have to take and prepare the saffron. And to do this, what we have to do is we have to make a bloom. And what a bloom is I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of, with the edge of a knife, kind of break up the saffron here, and we're going to put them in a couple tablespoons of hot water. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this bloom. In other words, we're going to let it soak. And it's going to bring out the color, it's going to bring out the flavor. That way when we go ahead and we put it in the rice, it's already been prepped. So let's start out. I've got about a dozen or so strands of this. And I don't want to waste any of it. All right. Break this up. Okay, now let's go ahead, and I don't know if you can see this on the main camera. I'll put it over here on the DL camera, and you probably can a little better. As you can see, it's already starting to turn nice and golden in here. So let's just go ahead and let this sit for a while. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and we've got to prep the rice. Now, the rice itself, we want to use basmati rice on this. But rice by itself, and I know you've had to fight this before, rice by itself can be very, very sticky. And so what we do is we want to rinse the rice off until it runs clear, and then we want to go ahead and prepare it. And this takes a lot of that starch out of it, and it's not nearly as sticky. It's more dry and fluffy. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the sink, and I'm going to take my rice, and I'm going to go ahead, and I've soaked it already, but I'm going to soak it again. We're going to run it through the strainer, and then we're going to go ahead, and we've got some aromatics and some other things we want to do. Some of the other things we want to add into this is probably a small diced onion, a couple of bay leaves, a clove of garlic minced, and this is actually the zest of one lime. And remember, when you zest it, only get the green part of the lime, don't get the white part underneath. That's very bitter. I'm not sure we're going to use all this, But, you know, depending on how pronounced the zest is, you may want to use more, may use a little less. Start low, and then you can always add it again. All right. We have some kosher salt, and we have 1.5 cups of chicken broth, as well as a cup of basmati rice. And if you want to make this vegan, go ahead, just use a vegetable broth, or even water is fine. But I find that when you use broth, either it's vegetable or chicken, it adds another layer of depth to the flavor in it, and it's really, really good. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and wash this off, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I've added the rice. I've added the rice into my sieve. And now let's go ahead and let's rinse it. Okay. So you want to rinse it until it runs clear. And then we want to go ahead and we want to put it back in our bowl. And we're not going to put this in again until after our aromatics, the onion and the garlic. Not until they, have had a chance to be processed or to, saute them. Then we'll go ahead, we'll add the rice. So let me go ahead and bring out the saucepan, and I want to go ahead and spray a little bit on here. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and put in my onions, and we'll go ahead and go over to the stove. And let's go ahead, I'm going to take my garlic along with me, and I'm going to go ahead. Okay. Here we are, we're going to go ahead, and even though I sprayed a little bit of non-stick vegetable spray in there, I am going to add a little bit of olive oil. And I'll probably add a little bit more once we put the rice in here. Because we're going to put the rice in here, we're going to toast it. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the broth in. So let me just give it a minute for the saucepan to heat up, and this will start sizzling, which I can already tell it is. So we'll just give it another minute. Okay, now it's starting to sizzle nicely. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to saute these until they become translucent. In other words, we don't necessarily want to brown them. Although if you brown it a little bit, it isn't going to hurt it, and it'll probably add to the flavor. You don't want to caramelize it though for this application. Once we get these to the point where they're just becoming translucent, then we're going to put in our garlic. And remember what I've always said about garlic. Garlic is one of those, if you just turned your back, it'll burn. So you got to be very careful with that. You have to just saute it until it becomes fragrant. And by fragrant is when you get a good smell off of it. Then you know it's done. aromatics over there are sauteing. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm stirring this around a little bit just to help the bloom along a little bit. Now, what happens if you have a few little strands left over? It's funny, because once it's in the rice, people will be able to see it. But there's also going to be onion in there. There might be a little lime zest that's in there. A saffron strand is not going to be obnoxious. It isn't going to be offensive. No one will pay any attention to it. And if they do, and you tell them, oh, it's a saffron strand, they'll probably look at you and say, hey, this is good, so don't worry about it. Okay, our onion's about done. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil and my garlic. And you can see how the liquid, that was in the garlic starts to sizzle. Now that means be very careful, It should start to become fragrant here. Usually you have to go about 30 seconds, something like that, and then be ready to take it off the heat in a hurry. Or add your other ingredients so you don't burn it. Okay, let me turn down the heat, because I don't want to burn the garlic. And now it's time to put in the rice. Now we're going to do the same to this as we did with the onions and the garlic. And we're just basically going to toast the rice a little bit. And we're going to stir it constantly because I want the onions and I want that flavor as well as I want that olive oil to kind of be around, all the grains in here. All right, keep stirring this, by the way, because you don't want the rice to stick on the bottom of the pan. So okay, here we are. It's about toasted. So I'm going to turn the temperature down a little bit, and let's go ahead and add our bloom. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to get a nice golden color in there. And that's exactly what we want. Now, if you wanted this even a more rich golden color than this, just go ahead and add more saffron. This is about the color I kind of prefer it. But if you want a little darker, go ahead and add a little more saffron. But remember, it also has a very, it's not a strong taste, but it will affect the taste of it, so be careful how much you add. All right, now that we've gotten this done, now let's add our stock. All right, let's let this come up to a boil, then we'll cover it and we'll go ahead and simmer it. Okay, as you can see, it's kind of coming to a boil right now. So now we taste it. You can taste the saffron and you can taste the chicken broth, but it definitely needs some salt. So I'm going to add a little bit. I want to add part of this lime zest. Now remember, after it's done, we'll probably taste it again. If we need to add some more, we will. And I'm adding a couple of bay leaves. Okay. You turn the heat way down. Let's cover it. Give it 20 minutes on the and when the timer goes off, we'll go ahead and see if our rice has absorbed all that water. If it's a little dry, we can add a little bit more water. If it's still a little bit wet or a little damp, we can go ahead and we can let it absorb some more. At that point, we'll give it our final taste. If we need any more salt or lime, we can go ahead and add it then. We'll also remove our bay leaves. So we got about 19 and a half minutes left. So I'll see you then. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. I let it sit for probably 30 minutes over there, absorbing the water, and I think it's about right now. So I think it's time we go ahead and finish up, and then we can plate. Let me go over to the other camera. Okay. As you can see, the rice is very, is getting light and fluffy. So what we're going to do now is first take the bay leaves out. And let's go ahead, let's taste it, see what we need. You can definitely taste the broth. I can't taste really any of the lime, so I'm going to put a little more lime zest in there. And I'm going to put just a little bit more salt. Much better. Okay, so let's go and let's plate. Okay, it's time to plate, so let me go ahead and put the rice into a bowl. Such. Alright, you see how it gives a very nice color on there, and it also has a good flavor. So let's take a fork and let's just fluff it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's put a little on the plate. Alright, now to garnish, what can we use? Well, we can always go for the old standby parsley. That always looks good. We could go for a little cilantro. We could, since there's lime in there, we could put a piece of lime in there with it. I don't know if you'd want to use basil or not around that. Probably not so much, as we didn't use any basil in it. I'd probably more use parsley in there. And you could either set it on top or set it on the side. Your choice. So, anyway, once again, thank you for watching my episode. Thanks for tuning in. Give this one a try. If you want I always say it was a sophisticated, side dish. But if you ever want a unique side dish, you want people to enjoy it, and you want people to remember it, give saffron rice a try. Let me know how you do. Give me a yell out in the comments section, or send me a message at chefrdmiller@att.net. So let me know how you do. In the meantime, take care. God bless. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Better even yet, subscribe. Remember that cooking should always be fun. We'll see you next episode.